All right, peace, everybody. This is Dr. Jahi Issa with you with Dr. Ada Fisher. Let me see if I can get her on. Just give me a second.
Okay.
Yeah, click on it while we're on the phone. Just click on it. Let me see if I can help you out. Let me pull it up. Y'all just hold on. I'm trying to get Dr. Fisher. Oh my gosh. Let me go back into my Hangout. Send her the right link. Copy. Right. All right, she has it now. I'm just waiting on Dr. Fisher. This is her first time on, and let me call her up one more time. Just got off the phone with her.
Hello. My phone is that application is not allowed except for voice only. Do video.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay. Well, we'll do a voice then.
All right. So what do I do for that?
Oh, see, I've never done the voice only.
Be able to do it by phone now.
Well, we can do it by phone right now.
That's good.
Let's do that. All right. Let me share a picture. I got Dr. Fisher. She's gonna do it by phone, you guys. She's on live. Let me share an article with her real quick so you guys can see her picture. Well, Dr. Fisher, can you introduce yourself to
My
the?
name is Ada Fisher. I am a retired physician. I am an author. I'm an accomplished public speaker, and I am the North Carolina Republican National Committee woman who has been on the state's case here in North Carolina, where we have 10% of the HBCUs case for the last 8 years. encouraging Republicans to do something to help the HBCUs.
Right. So the Republicans are now in power. Now, yesterday, I read some of the articles that you sent me, Dr. Fisher. And yesterday, Elijah Cummings met with Donald Trump. He met with him to discuss HBCUs, and I saw some of the other articles that you sent me where other Democrats are now starting entertain the idea of the possibilities that a Trump administration can help historically Black colleges and universities.
I think that that's all good, but it points to the lack of effort on the part of the Democratic Party and the Black Caucus reaching out to help these institutions. There are several problems that we have. One of them is that HBCUs are private, and it's hard to expend federal funds on behalf of private institutions without majority, and they want the same treatment. So it takes a little bit of creativity, and one of the things that is necessary is some understanding of how these institutions came about. To read Dr. Carson's comment that Black folks who came to this country were immigrants, something similar to what President Obama had said. This country originally actually came on the ships with Christopher Columbus, the Portuguese and other people in the 1500s, but the mass infiltration brought here as slaves. And I get so tired of politicians saying we are a nation of immigrants, and I keep saying, no, we aren't. To this nation, Native Americans were not immigrants, and a lot of Hispanics weren't, because California, in the birth of the nation, out of the nation, so many Hispanics were added later to the nation.
Yeah, that's another controversy. What Dr. Ben Carson, both of you guys are medical doctors, both of you guys are African Americans, both of your ancestry came here via enslavement, via Africa, but Ben Carson seems to have a different understanding. Both of you guys are very high-ranking Republicans. Although yours is on the state level, he's on the federal level. But your ideals regarding this immigration issue that he talked about are totally different.
I think that you have to have a better understanding of who you are in terms of part of a global community. I was just doing some rereading of my father's book on his father, the master slave Elijah John Fisher. My grandfather was born into slavery. The fact that his father was part of the Zulus, and his wife was a Creek.
Oh,
so
wow.
you know, that's an interesting history. And on my mother's side, her ancestors involved the Pamunkey Indians, Peyton came from, and whites as well as blacks. So we are sort of a conglomeration of everybody.
So, Dr. Fisher, do you think now, yesterday, Democratic leader Elijah Cummings came out and said that he met with President Trump, and he said some of the things that President Trump has been saying about Black people. And he also said that those HBCU presidents who met with Trump a few weeks ago at the Oval Office, none of them brought up the issue of money. He said that he asked for $25 billion. I mean, what is the reality of those of us who are really concerned about HBCUs getting that type of money from a Republican administration?
I don't think that the people in the church ask where your money came from when you could put the money in the plate. God is asking you to do something like prostitute yourself I really don't care where the money comes from. It's like people tell me that we got members of the Klan who support party. I'm going, I'll take the vote no matter where it comes from. I ain't got to agree with the people who vote for me, but that's their freedom of choice. There are several problems. What we ought to be asking Elijah Cummings is, if you get $25 billion, what are you going to do with it? And how is it to be petitioned out? And how are we going to have accountability for any money given? I think that, as I know government, and I've been active in the party vigorously for about 20 years, and before that I've been a Republican for 50 years, the thing that you see is you got to understand that people don't just give you money for votes or something else. For the HBCUs, the problems in my mind are four. Most of those four are not remediable by programs. The first thing that we need to do is to build these college endowments. Feeling great and more than $20 million. And that's not enough money to pay for keeping your lights on, taxes, etc. The second problem we have is that there is no money for scholarships in proportion to the tuition of these institutions. Especially most of the HBCUs are tuition driven, which means a certain number of people enrolled in order to meet your costs. Well, unfortunately for many of our HBCUs, the numbers are falling off. About 10 years ago, I undertook a project looking at Ebony Magazine's 100 mega churches, and I wrote all of them and said, 10 students on full tuition to one of the HBCUs. See, the problem is us. It is not always somebody else's problem. And I tell all the white students I know, go to an HBCU, because if you go to an HBCU, you get minority funds. The problem that we have is that we have to make sure stewards of the funds we have.
Right.
And that would include being accountable for investments. We read all kinds of stories about colleges and the fact that people steal money. And I tell people they're not stealing money, they ain't got enough money to steal. So that's not an issue for me. The issue is, how do we increase the giving to the schools? And the fourth problem is the alumni. The alumni took advantage of a great application, but the number who give back to the schools is pitiful. And when you raise $400,000 in some of our schools funds from UNCF, $400,000 is nothing compared to the fact that the UNCF raises about $130 million. So if you gave $400,000 to our schools, somebody better ask UNCF, what is it doing with the money that it gets?
Wow. So, I mean, so do you think that African Americans need to empower their HBCUs? And if we do, why haven't we done so?
So if you look at the income of Blacks in America, its down value is about $1 billion annually. That's would make us about the 20th largest nation in the world if we were a nation. The problem is we don't believe in collective responsibility in ourselves. There's more than enough money to give to the HBCUs. One of the people who was never one of my heroes, but has become more so lately, is LeBron James. LeBron James didn't go to high school. $32 million to students to go to school in Ohio.
Right.
And one of the problems we had, we used to have a lot of blacks in the athletics who went to HBCUs. If you look at the rosters there, very few of these guys the HBCUs. So their allegiance and loyalty are not to those communities. And that is, unfortunate. We have to figure out a way of HBCUs. And then we have to have something that says to HBCUs, invest in you. One of the things that we could do to these schools is, there are ways to give, for example, credit cards to people who are HBCUs. You can give life insurance. There are a lot of things that many of the larger white institutions offer alumni to keep them engaged and busy. Series. Homecoming is more than a party. Homecoming is usually a way to expand upon what the university is doing. I absolutely love the alumni magazines that I get because it tells me things that people are doing that I would not have known about in optics research and outreach to communities. I have to figure out how to put out a quality alumni periodical to tell folks this is what we're doing. Association, this is what you get. When I went on the board of UNCG's Alumni Association, that I'd seen somewhere else, and it's called a 1 in a million club. 1,000 people to give $1,000, you got $1 million. And wow. These are not complicated.
I'm listening.
When I sat on the board of advisors for the Amico Foundation, and one of the things I learned in that board, large corporations are not going to give you money. I'm not giving. It is better to have 1,000 alumni give $100 to give $100,000 because it shows corporations that the alumni value the education that they receive. Look at that. We have an obligation if we went to these schools to give money. I have given $100,000 to the HBCUs, many of them, and I have brought about 500 students to North Carolina, went to historically black colleges and universities, help them pay for it. So we need to be engaged with students and try to help these schools figure out how to do this a little bit better.
Wow. Okay. So yes, I was shocked. So that $41 million that LeBron James was able to give, you're saying some of that money went to HBCUs in the state of Ohio?
If the students chose to go to the Central State and Wilberforce, too. I don't know how many students were there to look at it. I mean, somebody could write LeBron and say, listen, you gave $42 million. We make sure that some of this money in the future goes to those two schools. The alumni have to empower themselves to do the right thing. You know, Talladega College gave its life's blood and decided to participate in the inaugural parade for Donald Trump. It would be nice if every Republican gave $100 to the endowment foundation for that college. Was after they were harassed by Black community, and they needed to raise $33,000 to go for the parade. Community raised $70,000 for the school. So with one act, they were able to raise almost $1 million for their schools. And that's what it's about. It's, you know, politics is about two things, money and votes. If you don't have any money, you can't get votes. Well, HBCU survival is about money and students. If we can't get the money, we can't have the students there. We can do some things, but there are some things that the federal government shouldn't be involved in. I personally think it's the federal government's job to send people to. I also don't think it's their job to send people to college. But if they make these programs available, we should be allowed to participate. There are several programs for which students can receive funds such as Pell Grants and PLUS loans. The PLUS loans have to be, Obama screwed that thing to the wall so that 35,000 students who were eligible for PLUS loans were disqualified. Pell Grants, as they are done to me, doesn't address the problem. What you should do, the Pell Grant should be based on semester hours of completion, 5 grade point average. That means you can take that and you can go to some school, wherever, to be on the course to a degree. You can't just give people money. And college people take 6 or 7 years and never get out of there.
Right.
You got to have some accountability. Has to happen is Black people who borrow money have to pay these loans back. After they graduate, they say, well, we can't pay these loans back. Well, hell, you knew that before you went in there. a major that's going to allow you to make some money, you probably should have majored in that. I mean, I enjoy this and all that, but sociology does not pay enough money to get these degrees paid for. And, you know, kids need to be involved in what I call STEM. English, science, technology, engineering, and math. Those are the areas in which you have some credibility.
Okay, okay. Well, I think some of the people, because I think a few people listening, but after the show, it's going to circulate a lot. How does a Black woman, parents come out of slavery, whose ancestry come out of slavery via the transatlantic slave trade, end up being chairwoman of a major state, the ruling party? I mean, how does that happen? Because a lot of African Americans, as you know, many of us are Democrats. I'm a Democrat. I vote my interest, right? But a lot of African Americans will deem someone like you as an Uncle Tom. And so, what do you have to say? I mean, how do you become the co-chairwoman of the Republican Party? How does that happen? And are there any other African American women positioned throughout the country?
Well, first off, I'm not co-chairman of the state party. I am the national committee woman. National committee woman, a national committee man, and a chairman of the party, all of whom are members of the RNC. Okay. We're called the 168. We're the people who dictate the hell who's eligible to run and those kinds of things.
Okay.
In terms of North Carolina, I don't place my worth on what other people say. What people say in terms of being on Uncle Tom or Aunt Thomasina. I would place my record against any Black Democrat in the nation, including the president. Or to the Black community and participated. And I don't need the Black community's validation. I did it because it's the right thing to do. The other thing that I find so sad with Democrats is, as one of the guys wrote a book that says, it's okay to leave the plantation. Hung up in that plantation mentality. They want to give allegiance to the Democratic Party, but if you look at who runs the inner cities, etc., these are Democrats. So by sticking with that party, we haven't gotten a damn thing out of it. Now, Republicans come at it differently. James Brown had a song that pretty much typifies and the song was, I don't want anybody to give me nothing. Just open the door and I'll get it. I view it. Last, one of the things I see, and I'm seeing it with this new thing on Underground, and Black history, the start in slavery. We did not start as slaves, and we should not end up as slaves. You know, one of the things that I am learned a lot from is being Jewish. I'm Jewish. And you never hear Jews define themselves in terms of Holocaust. Back to Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses. Their roots are deep and vested. We don't take it back to Africa. Our roots are deep and vested. We don't take our roots back to the Native American populations because many Black people have roots. The Native American slavery hid them. The best of the white heritage that we may have. Some people are doing some of it now. What is the man's name? Who does ancestry investigations? But anyway, he tries to
Skip Gates.
He tries to take people back to their ancestry, but in taking them back to their ancestry, I like what Trump is talking about private because one of my peeves, peanut butter and Peter Pan peanut butter have stolen the value of George Washington Carver's, and they haven't put a scholarship in anybody's name anywhere. And I wrote a couple of years ago and said, why don't y'all give Carver scholarship to the historically Black colleges, including Tuskegee. Louis Latimer invented the filament. Why don't we say to the company, you are benefiting inventions. What have you done to invest in people like him so that we have a future? August invented the
Right.
the electric light. So I went to GM and I said, why don't you have a Gary Morgan scholarship? See, we're not asking the right questions. We let people come in and minds of our discoveries, and we don't ask them to be accountable for it. And I think it's important that we give back.
Guys, we got another 10 minutes. I'm talking to Dr. Ada Fisher. She is the committee woman for the Republican Party of North Carolina. She's African American and Native American. And by religion, she is. So when you say you're Jewish, are you saying that you're Black Hebrewite, or are you like Jewish in the sense of the Yiddish European Jews?
Jewish in the sense of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And my sense of God derives from my beliefs in Judaism. I was a Hebrew scholar and interpreted his way through the University of Chicago PhD program. But when he moved to Durham, he would also interpret the scriptures in the area who didn't read Hebrew as well as he did. There's a book called The Southern Provincials about Jews in the South. And in that book, page 52, it talks about that itinerant Black preacher who understood Hebrew, and people would go to him to ask him to interpret that. So it's something that I believe in. It's something that I have a sense for, and it's something that keeps me whole and grounded.
Question for you, as it regards President Trump's ascendancy into the presidency. Now, according to an article that came out, I think that was News One, they say you are the one that him in 2016, or was it 2015, regarding this HBCU issue. And you know that there was a meeting with the HBCU presidents, White House. What do you think should have happened differently, particularly now that several of the HBCU presidents against the idea, who came out immediately after the Oval Office meeting criticizing it? They're now starting to turn around and say, let's at least give Trump a chance to see if he's going to do something for historically Black colleges and universities.
HBCUs have been a passion of mine all of my life. My mother finished Virginia Union University. She was a top person in her class. She was 20 years old. She taught French and Greek. My father, college, he was the top student in his class in 1919. He was a catcher on the baseball team. He used to catch for some of the preachers for some of the players in the Negro League. And he got his from Morehouse, and then he got his master's, and then he got a PhD from the University of Chicago. So they proved to me the value of HBCUs. When Morehouse and Spelman, because they thought they would close them, my grandfather went and raised the money to keep them open, and from that he got an honorary degree. My father taught at Shaw University 2 years to make sure that the theology school was accredited. So we have a deep, abiding, the value of our HBCUs as a place to steward whatever. I did not mentor Donald Trump. I gave him a copy of my book, Common Sense, Christian Solutions for What Ails Us, Book 1. But I did tell him on several occasions I thought he ought to run for president. I have been a member of the RNC for about 8 years. I have said on each occasion when I had the opportunity, Black America still rests in HBCUs, and as a party on many of those schools, we need to invest in them because they are our own schools. I don't care who's jumping out there to take credit for this. I think that what we have to is that we do the things we say we're going to do. People went to the White House for I think it was the 26th or 27th of February. They may have said a whole lot of things, but remember, in 8 years under Obama, he didn't invite the presidents to the Oval Office in the White House. And if you read his record, he did not do much for Black colleges. As a matter of fact, the White House initiative on HBCUs, people credit to Jimmy Carter, which isn't true, under Richard Nixon in a program called FICE, Federal Interagency Federal, I can't remember what the C and E was for, but it was founded to deal with education under the Department of Education, or HEW. I think the man's name was Robert Finch, who was the secretary then. And what it was supposed to do, all the agencies of government, and see how many Blacks were getting an opportunity to participate, how many Black students. Well, they found out that Trump didn't is doing what Obama never did. He first said, let's see what we're doing. Something, then let's look at it and make it better. You cannot run out and do things without what's going on then. So I suspect that when he finishes that, he will come up with something. Somebody trying to put together a project, but we're not in the what we're doing right now. Great things to come about for the HBCUs. I just hope that people don't get caught up on posturing and claiming credit, that they missed the important thing about let's make sure the institutions succeed, and let's make sure that these students who borrowed all this money pay it back, because if your students don't pay back the money, then your college loses an opportunity to get further scholarship dollars.
Wow. Well, we're going to end it in about 2 minutes. I've been getting a lot of criticism from a lot of people, you know, and I understand, because about President Obama, and I try to say I'm not talking about per se as a person. I'm really just talking about the policies. And people are saying, well, there's really no record out on Trump other than the things that he said. And even as I said earlier, Elijah Cummings got President Trump to admit that some of the things he said about African Americans are hurtful. As we move forward, we have to deal with the fact that we have a Republican in office, and that we have to, particularly African Americans who are within the Democratic Party, we have to find a way to leverage what we want. I think you can tell me the name of the congressman from North Carolina who came out and said, I have no permanent friends, I have no permanent enemies, I only have permanent interests. Close us out on that.
I'm not even dealing with that foolishness. You see, Black people are hung up on the wrong thing. We should be hung up on end results. And I don't give Obama credit, because as a Black man, I would make sure that Black folks got a piece of the pie. I guarantee you there's never been a white president who didn't make sure white folks got a piece of the pie.
Right.
And quit being forgiving of foolishness. He has an obligation. It's interesting to me that when he had 3 Supreme Court seats, not one of those seats went to a Black woman. They had everybody but us. And Black women are the group of people who have carried us. This man had 2 Black daughters and a Black wife, and he couldn't find it in his heart to let us have 1 seat for a Black woman. So I don't give him any. The thing is, you need to quit knocking Republicans. You know, Obama talked about he did more for Black in terms of the HBCUs. My record showed that he gave about $84 million to the HBCUs and Title III and all that. But George W. Bush, the man that everybody likes to, gave $109 million to these institutions. The other thing that I didn't realize till the other day is that everybody's jumping up and posturing about the African American Museum. Family, as I understand, will not donate his papers and records, which is fine with me, because I think there were other people besides King. But it's interesting that the person who commissioned the African American Museum for the Smithsonian Institute was George W. Bush. Republicans have been behind a lot of doing the right things, and they have not jumped out there seeking credit for this, that, and the other. We just did it because it's the right thing to do.
Wow. And one last thing, Dr. Fisher, I'm working with a group of young North Carolina. They call themselves RBGs, named after Marcus Garvey's flag, the red, black, and the green. It's a national youth movement. They're big on social media. Like they may take this and really take clips of this and send this throughout their community. It's thousands of them in North Carolina, and they're young. And they're African Americans. What do you have to say to them and other young African American youth about your position within the Republican Party?
Anything. I mean, anybody can assume my position. You just have to work hard within the party. I've been a Republican for 50 years. I lost a brother in August. He'd been a Republican for 60 years, running his business. My thing was practicing medicine, and when I no longer practiced medicine, I had time to get more politically engaged and politically involved. I would say to the people who are on social media, are correct, because I see some stuff sitting out there that just is factually inaccurate.
Yes.
Make sure that you try to capture what went on. I mean, I was telling people the other night, everybody wanted to talk to me about Martin Luther King coming to my daddy's church, and I'm going, yeah, well, and so what? The ends of North Carolina were not in Greensboro at F.W. Woolworth, but they were in Durham at the Royal Ice Cream Parlor on the corner of Dow Street. And I told them also, as most people don't know, that Durham, North Carolina was pivotal to Martin Luther King's, because when he was stabbed in Harlem, the guy who took the knife out of his chest in court as a physician who grew up in Durham, North Carolina, went to the same high school I did, about something, and we knew we were somebody, and we didn't have to have white folks to validate it or black folks.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fisher, for coming on and blessing us with your insightful knowledge and your history and your activism and your political stewardness. And I think as a professor, I started my career as a professor at an HBCU. I went to all HBCUs, bachelor's, master's, and PhD, and I wanted nothing more than to teach at an HBCU. Unlike a lot of my friends, they didn't go to HBCUs to teach. They went to some of the big research universities in the country, and that's their right. But because I felt that it was the HBCU that created me, I wanted to give back, and I started my career teaching at Elizabeth City State University in North Carolina, and I was just in North Carolina not too long ago, and I just want to thank you. I love the people of North Carolina, and I just want to thank you for coming on and sharing your knowledge about politics to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right, y'all, I just had Dr. Ada Fisher. Thank you for the viewers who've been listening in and paying attention and even asking some questions. I know this may be difficult for a lot of the conscious community, particularly who and I understand a lot of the youth, for 8 years, all we know is Obama. My own children, that's all we know. You know, they don't know of any other president. You know, my oldest daughter, who's 18 and a freshman at an HBCU, in Maryland, she doesn't know of any other president that she can remember. All she saw is this black man, his women, his wife, his and I'm just excited that I was able to bring her in. I'm going to try to get on Omarosa. You know, it's going to be really controversial, but I want people to know that I am not a Republican. And I'm still a registered Democrat, but I like to vote what's best for me and the people that I affiliate with. And, you know, I'm black, so I'm going to go black first. What's best for black people? I know that these HBCUs are the best thing for black people. And now we have a new president, and we got to hold Trump accountable. I think now that with all of this activism going on, I think this is a great opportunity for us to hold Trump accountable. So I want to thank y'all for listening in. This is Dr. Jahi Issa, or rather E41, aka Dr. Jahi Issa. And I want to thank you for listening in, those who did, and share this if you find it interesting. Bring in a lot of great people to speak on various issues, from history to politics to Africa. Y'all know my love for Africa. You know, I'm African first. I'm an African America. And phenotypically, look at me. People always say I look like some of those Olmec heads. Yes, that's me. I've been here for a long time. This is Dr. Issa. Ain't nothing changed. But I think I want us to be more politically attuned. And I don't want us to give up certain things. The Republican Party will be in office for at least another 4 years. Term coming up in 2 years, right? And we should hold them accountable. I think we really dropped the ball under the last administration, under President Obama, but that's over with. All right, let's move forward. Let's see what we're going to get out of this. Let's be about us first. And once we're about us first, then we move on to the greater world. What's wrong with that? Everybody's about themselves. The Hispanics, LGBTQ community, the Jewish community, the European ethnic minority communities, whether they be Irish, whether they be German descent. Everybody's about them first, right? So what's wrong with us being about us first? Let's be about us first, and let's move forward. Peace, everybody. Again, this is E41 signing out, aka Issa. Thank you so much.